Hello. What's up, everybody? Good morning. I can actually say that. Good morning. You know it's the morning because I'm sitting here with droopy eyes and a coffee. God bless our good friends on Chess TV as well. Hey, Guardian EU. Where are you watching from? We're in Europe. Hello, Salty. Grilled Peppers. Mr. Sir. Oh, here's a big one. Eden. I caught that. I definitely was not up watching it, but I saw in the morning. The Ice Burger. Tier 3. 3 years. And a win last night. We'll take it. That's a good 24 hours. Hello, Sleazy. Salty peak sitting, yes. I mean, I don't like peak sitting forever, but I do like peak sitting for just a few, just a little bit. You gotta enjoy it. Definitely gotta enjoy it. Gotta flex it a little bit. Ooh, the Netherlands. The Netherlands. Well, Guardian EU, if you ever need someone to talk dirty to you like they speak on the trains, I can do that for you. When you're ever looking for a good time, just let me know. That's the only Dutch I can speak. Good evening from Australia, Green Square Grove. You're most certainly not the only Aussie here right now as well. We have a small contingent forming. Good to see you, Green Square. Hello, Ralph. Morning, Ralph. Oh, more Australia. There we go. Hello, Lolly. Well, we tried to switch yesterday, and for those who are ready to spend our Friday night on Kick, we had trouble even starting the stream because Buddy XQC switched over. And look, no matter who you are, what XQC just did was nuts, right? You sign a deal to switch from Twitch to Kick. He switched. His first stream, he had like 70,000 viewers. What the? That's insane. Like, that's crazy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Salty. Pretty much like stress test the entire website. Anyway, that's nuts no matter what. Tommy H2777. Nearly 3 years. Thanks for 35 months, Tommy. Sun and Leo, a couple years with us. New sub badges all around. Aiden, Sun and Leo. Tommy H, very, very soon. And Joshua Feldman, tier 3, 10 months. Thanks, Josh. That's why I strive to keep you updated, Venus. I strive to keep y'all updated. Yes, what a deal. 100 million? What the hell? I don't speak those digits. I'm going to warm up with a few games here. We're going to play some slow chess. It's the morning and I have coffee and we need to wake up, so I figured slow chess is like actually perfect, but that's like you're supposed to stretch before you do any kind of physical activity. I think it's good practice to play some warm-up games. Hello, Tim. What's up, Eddie? Eddie Barber. Ralph, would you say that me joining the 3-minute pool is dynamic stretching? And me playing the chat is like not stretching at all? Or how would you differentiate the two? I want to make sure I'm preparing properly for the onslaught of 8 and 900s that we were about to see in slow chess. Raifu42, thanks for the 16 months. Hey, Java Bandit. I think it's a pretty good combo. Not gonna lie. Are there openings named after Australia? I don't think so. I don't think so. Someone in our chat yesterday was telling me that this opening, let me pull up an analysis board. Was telling me that this opening was called the boobs defense or the nipples. I said, that's news to me. You might have to come up with one. It's tough to come up with openings that are, you know, remotely playable and don't have names yet. You know, it's difficult. I mean, you could literally sit there and play this and say that this is the, like, something, like you could just call this whatever. And of course you could immediately come up with an opening just like that. There's a little, I feel like there's kind of a burden of proof on you to not just pick literally whatever. It has to be something that kind of catches on, you know? Like the Jerome. The undefeated. That's what I'm saying, Java Bandit. Anna Kramling had, what was it, the cow? It's like, the worst thing about the cow opening was that total beginners at chess, how do they play? How do total beginners play? You guys might even remember from yesterday when you were playing your games, so it'll be easy for you to answer. But total beginners just play a4, h4. They bring their rooks up to like a3 and h3. This was how I used to play, right? Trash. But ironically, if you were the worst player, then your opening would be, it's incredible, but I can actually say that your opening would be OP against the cow. Believe it or not, in this position, black is actually better. Better. Imagine the opening you come up with is so bad that the absolute lower echelons of chess already have a better position by playing stuff like this. I mean, literally, black could go like this. White goes here, and it's like h4, okay? You know, but black's already playing for a win. So, I like the attempt from Anna. I like the attempt. But I won't be shy to call out that the cow's trash. Trash. 10 months of Dying Wish. Thanks for the prime. So I do think you need to have, the opening has to be at least somewhat playable. you tried it, Java Bandit. It sounds like you really went through it, you know? You gave it its full attention. You know, you gave it the front and center, the centerpiece in the magazine. You really gave it time to marinate, and it was no good. So I feel like you gave it every chance you could. Do I play the Hambleton? I do, but the annoying thing is that against e4, you know, if people don't play bishop b5, then you don't really get it. And then I'm just playing e4, e5, which I'm not, you know, enthused. But I should play it more. Never run into trouble, you know? Queen f6. Never run into trouble here. Great opening. It might be sleazy, but in that case, we need to come up with more. Like all my series on YouTube, I legitimately think these are very good openings, very playable. They will get you a lot of wins, and you see it in action. So it's not just me being like, oh yeah, this opening's good, yeah. Like you actually see it. So I like to have you know, a little guarantee behind some of our offerings. Hello, Zeal. Good morning. All right, couple warm-up games. You guys can send some challenges in. I'm gonna go bleed a little bit of rating in the pool first. As Ralph said, dynamic stretching. Dynamic stretching. My hands are often cold in the morning. Cold hands, not a sweaty mouse. For those that are tuned into our new series, this game might be of some interest. We're going to see this or this, two very different styles. Do I smoke? I don't. Ooh, castling. Interesting. Bishop e2. Defend the queen, because that's obviously going there. This is playable, but I think we'll just go there. And if that, then I'm just thinking of going knight c4. But obviously it's a weird position because I've moved every piece on this side of the board and I haven't touched anything over here. I think this. Well, I guess he wants to go back. Don't try to identify the sounds you're hearing. What's going on here? It's actually a really good song. This is one of the guys that we're gonna be listening to today. Here, I guess we have to just power through this idea. Take the pawn. That's right, Spenny. Allow them to play with your eardrum. Yeah. So-called inside world. Here, I suppose that move becomes a total mess. Whatever. Definitely taking and allowing rook c1 was not on my agenda there. So I think taking here is the move, so that we trade the queens. I think that's a big deal. And now, like, you know, the pieces that are left over should be pretty nice. Now I might be able to take here, but definitely the safer move is just going back. Could go back this way, actually. There's an idea. There's an idea. Can actually be quite good. Because that pawn is definitely weaker than anything on that diagonal. Going back to b7 is just more of a force of habit. Like, the piece pretty much always belongs there. Still hitting this. I don't really want to do anything except develop here. Develop pieces. Yeah, here he wants knight c8 to go there, which admittedly is a little bit annoying. Should we do this? I think so. If the knight moves, this pawn always drops, and maybe I have e5 as well. Yeah, this should be fine. This square covered is so important. I can't even describe. Yeah, so now this, you could take rook there. Could also just go here. Hit the knight. Yeah, that looks quite good. Now we have this. Knight d4 takes. Now this should be totally fine. Yeah. Really nice game, but we'll have to go win it on time, unfortunately. That doesn't make me happy. That was a sweet game, but last minute blunder to take away my best game of the year prize. Leafers, thanks for the 23 months. Welcome back. TH Toaster, 32 months, tier 3. Thank you, buddy. We also had Jimbly, 26 months from Big Jim. Lord Waldemart, also a new sub badge, 3 years. You're not the first 3 year we've had today. That'll often happen. There'll be streams where most of the resubs in that stream are like 2-year resubs, 3-year resubs. It's like the exact same number, which is always interesting. Makes me think, what the heck did we do 3 years ago? That move might have been pretty damn good there, but just kind of played quickly. So is b5 that good? Like, I see what's happening here. But we just ignore it. Thanks, Hickey J. We'll see you on the flip side, my guy. I don't like the queen on the C file. I feel like we should probably be taking this. Maybe A4 should have happened. He's gonna go here, which kind of prepares this nicely. The annoying thing is that because I'm always dealing with this, it's very likely that this pawn will be weak soon. So I don't know if I want to take like that and let him do that. I'm planning to take like that and go like this. I mean, right now I have this. Bishop A6 move, but I'm not always going to have that. Ooh, that move, though, I like to see. Now we're going to totally switch. So now we're going to bring our rooks over here. This is never going anywhere. Yes, this pawn is a problem, but we'll stick our bishop on C1. And now it will defend it and allow us to just basically push pawns on the king side. So yeah, we'll kind of plan to totally ignore his pieces now. Ooh, knight f7, queen e6, king f8, and I don't have anything there. Great. Let's throw this pawn up. I wish. No follow-up. Again, now this is good, though. Now I have bishop here. Oh, no, now this is winning. That's a big mistake. Now I have bishop h6. Queen takes e7, and king there, I have queen takes f6. So this move was just losing. Big blunder, big blunder. K Wingar, thank you for the gifted subs. And a new sub, right? Look at that. This is the best kind of entry. New sub. In fact, he even gave the 10 subs before he subbed himself. 10 gifted. And a brand new, fresh sub himself. Welcome, buddy. Is that like, you know, just often when people come in like that, they watch on YouTube. Is that the case? You a YouTube brah? Glad to have you here. You found us on Twitch regardless, so I'm happy. Let's go rook over. Could go here. I don't necessarily think this move is better than this, but I saw the way he handled my knight last time and didn't really look like that was something I should be afraid of, so I'm going to play this way again. So we have the two bishops, but we're obviously very far behind in development. Knight f6, though, is going to put the question to the pawn if it... Well, okay. That move, for example, I'm even thinking about f5. Now, f5 and knight f6 becomes super tempting, but it's just going to be a lot of weaknesses here. It's one of those moves where, yeah, it might be the right idea, but are we just too far behind in development? All right, well, let's find out. I feel a little sketched out playing this move, I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. But opens the game and gets, I think it gets the pressure exactly where we want it. It's just, it's not my favorite. Yeah, this is exactly the reaction that I didn't want to see, because now like F5 happens and I just have to put up with some situations that I'm not too much a fan of. Let's take. Let's bring the knight out. Got to develop. I can long castle in one move, which is friendly. I also own the light squares. However, very shaky position. Very shaky. Can't move my bishop. I think I really do want a long castle here. Hey, Paolo Fox. Welcome back, buddy. 5 months with Prime. Flaming Falcon. I appreciate it, man. 12, trust me, is a literal grind. I do not blame you for not getting there. It is not usually that tough in these type of campaigns. So you made it to 7, man. People won't think less of you for calling it there, you know? Okay, queen here. I mean, I feel like we castle. Obviously, this is a threat, but I can't really offer to trade queens because it just takes. I think castling, and if knight takes, we rook e8. Yeah, we just got to do this. Queen takes is the move. Takes, you know, basically play that position. It's probably maybe slightly better for white, but very, very close. It's hard to say. Yeah. Let's keep the rook. I feel like he's going to take it anyway, which is why I'm not necessarily playing that. Yeah. Time is a ticking. But I have a passed pawn, so I can pretend some endgames are good for me. Even opposite bishops will be okay here because there's a lot of flagging potential, especially with how long he's taking on this move. Like, what the hell? It's taking like 20 seconds here. Ooh. Knight takes. Okay, we didn't expect that. Okay, so let's bring the bishop here. It's probably a good move. Because we're always threatening to go there, I think the position is like... Ooh, I was gonna go up, but we can't do that. Let's go here. Trying to keep pieces on the board. Just tough to do. Wait, what? Oh my god, I just like degenerated my time because I was like, wait a minute, I actually have a chance to win this. It's winning at the end. But I was annoyed and let my time run out basically because I thought he was going to play knight f4 and take, and I was like, we're not going to win anymore, sadly. He can just sack. I wanted to keep pawns on the board, but a6. There's only one other person who plays this line, and it's Czech Manarov. Is this really the line? Don't I just play? Isn't this just a French where you played a6? That's just bad, no? I think takes, knight takes might be the play. Yeah, this makes more sense, I guess. Takes and bishop here or something. Probably got to try it. Because black's played this move as well, it's like, I feel like this is extra okay to try. Tippin22, thanks for the 16-month prime. A pretty lame loss last game. Should have been a very easy flag against him, but he found a way to trade bishop for knight and then trade the rooks, which was honestly annoying. Honestly, it was annoying. Okay, let's probably take the knight wherever it goes. Like even knight g6, I think we'll just take it. Not sure I want to deal with that. Yeah, rook e1, ASAP. Probably could have come up with a better move there. Knight d2, I think, was maybe a bit better. Yeah. Now I have to deal with this. Not a fan of allowing it. Takes, knight takes is not the position we want to play. That pawn should be back there. So I think knight d2 was maybe nice. Okay, let's overprotect this ASAP. Knight d2 needed, b4 needed. Okay, I don't think we can do anything except this. Obviously, this is the intention. I feel like he's kind of playing it quite well. Let's go here. Knight c3 next. That pawn, that pawn. I think that's actually a pretty good move as well. Ugh. Man, b3, bishop b4, knight c3. I don't like that either. How did this get so annoying? Man, don't like the way this has gone. It's crazy. I think we have to do this nonsense. Wow. Jeez, he has this at the end of the line too. My God. He's actually so fast as well. He's actually so fast. I thought he was lagging or something. What? His moves are not pre-moves. I'm sorry, but those are not pre-moves. I'm pre-moving and he's not. And how the hell is he so fast? We have to now degenerate under 2800. It's the only way. These are not pre-moves. Buddy's time is not ticking down. What the hell? He's playing a very solid line here. I don't think it's very good, but it's extremely equal. Okay. It's too much. It is too much. 2 losses. Every game has been so bad for him. But I get flagged in some weird ways because I definitely don't expect... is that a move? No. I'm not expecting his time to stay where it is. Okay, now we have to move this. A5 or A6? I don't know, maybe A5. Like, if he has 10 seconds and I have 10 seconds. Let's move back. I feel like it's not working out for me lately. Brings the knight in. Okay, let's go over here. I need to be a lot better. He's been impressive the last 2 games. Actually could maybe play G4 there, so again, perhaps lucky by me. Queen G2 almost for sure. Or yeah, same idea. Maybe knight D5 might have been a bit of a better move there. Here, just E4 is so good, I think. Guess we'll play D5 to kind of hold these pawns back, make the bishop not so good. It's tough to start attacking these pawns. Like, you can just play some really solid formation. Knight's not doing anything there. Let's be honest. He's gonna play B3 now. Maybe F5. It's like I'm building up pressure, but not actually threatening anything. Okay. Trying to make an actual threat on e3, but it's going to be quite difficult. It's always pawn takes this way. It's a very annoying position. How to actually make a damn threat here? It's the toughest thing ever. Woo. We need some luck, it seems. Not good enough to beat this guy on our own. We need some good fortune. And obviously Rook there was good fortune putting the pieces like that. Thanks Gokul999. Thanks to the 11 months. Lil Sa, 23 months. Reliable Randy, 22 months. Paolo Fox, 5 months with Prime. Did we ever hear from K Wingar again? I didn't see him chat after that, but again, thanks for the 10 subs, man. Turnips, 22 months with Prime. Adrian Claw, or Adrian Claw, thanks for the 21 months with Prime as well. And Capong, 7 months. You guessed it, with Prime. What a disappointing result. What a disappointing result that match was. If you were here for a disappointing result, you're in the right place. Peace. F6, I was thinking E4. This bishop is quite bad. This definitely shouldn't be good for him, but it's gonna find a way to make it okay. Because like I want to go here, I want to go there, but he sticks a knight on e7 and covers that square. So it's not so straightforward, although I still think that should be good. Knight e4, bishop back. What am I doing? Knight d6. It's very hard to say. This looks a little nonsensy. I don't know if we can play this actually, but it would be nice. Just to take that on, which I guess I need to stop. So low on time. Compared to him, that's the 3,000 diff right there. It's always going to be a loss, of course. $3,000 diff. Just same moves faster. Looked like that was something for me, but also this opening, surprisingly annoying, I feel. Surprising. No increment. No, definitely not. Did chess.com change their default setting, by the way, to 3+1? Is that, am I talking crazy here? I feel like I logged on today and it was just like automatically set to 3-1 instead of 3-0, which I definitely don't remember. Help. Help, I don't like this position. We're definitely threatening one thing. We've made our first threat. Ooh. Hello, Wild Hacks. Thanks for the 32-month resub. Good luck today. If must have a game coming up soon. I don't know about this. I will throw the knight in. Is f3 crazy? Strong player would play f3 and make it work. He's not concerned because I'm not a strong player. He's like, meh. It's gonna be a bit worse here. How does this happen? It's so impressive. We really shouldn't be taking that. Not yet, at least. Not much time. I want to go rook here, queen here, but like, obviously very wrong. Rook there is covered, but yeah, he has that. It's tough. It's tough. Because even though we're like maybe finding some moves here, we're still lost. Okay, here we're obviously making a draw, but like we're the one under pressure, but we're just down so much time. It just doesn't matter. Queen takes c6 is equal, but by the time I navigate back to an equal position, it's the 3000 diff. Like, we're just worse. No, not this nonsense. Not this nonsense. Jeez. So many sacrifices. They're about to slap me in the face here. Ugh. It's just unpleasant. Just highly unpleasant. I am definitely getting gapped, that's for sure. The F pawn is gonna storm down quicker than I'd like. Maybe we get away with this move though. This looks like a nice one. We have rook e1, rook e7, and I don't know, some sort of queen g5 stuff. Definitely reroute this bishop. Hmm. Hmm. Now, do we go here or do we just play knight e3? Hard to say. Knight here. Now we own the e file, which is great for us. Hard enough to make a draw these days, huh? Hard enough to make a draw. Probably should be, I don't know if there's some kind of mating net there. Maybe not mating net, but some kind of precise way to do things. But in the end, somehow we didn't really get a nice, easy position to play. At the end, it was great, but yeah, early on, did not really like what was going on. Pawn takes seems kind of wrong here. I'll do it anyway, but definitely feels wrong. This bishop obviously needs to capture on c3, so I guess we're going here. I suppose this existed, but didn't even really consider that. Yeah, I was just about to say h6. As soon as I played, I regretted it. There's going to be like an attack for me to deal with now. Very annoying. Very, very annoying. Ugh. Oh, I don't like this position at all. I don't like this position at all. No, but it's nonsense. It's nonsense. Teetering on lost. Oof. Thanks, SlowBrah. 15 months. Das Selly. Couple months prime. We're getting dusted here myself. I mean, this is hit, but there's like everything. Knight g3, rook g1. We're gonna be dead soon, so just gotta play these last moves out, you know? Take a pawn and go down with a full belly. Knight d4. Because if he trades dark square bishop, I mean, you could say I'm happy about that. You could say I'm happy about it. Here, there's bishop e7. Here, I can try a5. It's always a time gap. Every single game. Thanks for the resub, Lisa. 7 months. Not bad games. It's a time gap. But it's not really a time gap. Obviously, it looks like it's a time gap. It's really a skill gap. But blaming it on time helps the mental, you know? But obviously, it's a skill gap because your skill helps you play faster. So we're not able to keep up. That's really the bottom line. Yeah, server lag. Ugh. Makes sense he's gonna stop there. I was, was getting there, like not actually scoring a win, but you can't really come closer than what I was doing, so probably had to stop there, or he might actually lose some rating, God forbid, or lose a game. Shocker. Hmm. I'll do this, I suppose. Hmm. Hmm. This is some sort of all-in kind of position for both sides, I guess. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like what's happening. Rook here. I don't want to allow that move. Looks pretty good. There's just gonna be no threats, huh? There's just gonna be no threats. And now this pawn is actually weak, so my queen is stuck here. Ugh. Rook f6, bishop e8. I'm gonna have to just go all in. Okay, well, I mean, if you're gonna allow me to sack, I'll take the opportunity. You can't take the bishop, then I go there. This is at least a chance. Obviously, we have to do this. It's just still not definitive. But it's the only, yeah, it's the only move. And I'm quite sure that my opponent has to take on g6. I don't know how you don't take back. Queen takes a3. I think we take here. And the nice thing is that black's not threatening anything. There's no rook b1 check. And queen a1, I always have rook f1. So actually, black's not threatening anything after this. It's kind of a useless move. I just take and go here. Yeah. Bishop e8 takes. Okay, now we can take this. He really, all he needed to do was bring his bishop from d7 to e8 and just extra protect everything. And I didn't really see what I was going to do there. DP Josh, thanks for the 14 months with Prime and Puzzle of Life 23 months. Glad to hear that, chess lover. Wishing you the best of luck. Make SlowBrah points for watching the stream. We use a different kind of currency here. Also, knight c3 is interesting. Not sure about that move, but okay. Whoa. Like, I can't tell if f4 is trying to happen. Feels like a very solid position. Okay, not really sure what his pieces are doing. Yeah, nothing I'm seeing makes sense here. What the hell is that? Where's that going? Ugh. Ugh. Okay. Force him to go to that side. Definitely a weird game, weird position. Sometimes you have to remind yourself that your opponent's not a good player. The way that he's playing, none of his moves have been good, but I'm like spending a lot of time against him. Like, I mean, he's literally just shuffling. Like, what? Sometimes you just need the old reminder in there. He's a SlowBrah. He didn't need to lose this pawn. I don't know why he didn't just put the bishop there. Oops. Oh, oops by him. Oops by him. Thanks, Elvis. Elvis Doctor. We'll go with Doctor. Thanks to the 25 months, Elvis. All right, let's play one more good one. And then we'll play some slow chess. Take. Might be 3, surely. Wonder if he'll play e5. Okay. F5 takes, and there's actually a bit of an issue. So let's play c3. Now f5. Knight there, and he plays e5 next. Somehow also a bit of an issue. Queen here. Does he want to play g6? I'm trying to figure that out. Whether or not he wants to, he did. Endgame is definitely better for white. Is it better enough to be winning? That's a different question. Those are the pieces I am dying to trade. Like, I would love to do that. Right here. I feel like with a knight trade, we probably win this game. Not that it will be winning after a knight trade, but I will probably win it after a knight trade. Thing about this is I have a few moves here. Bishop c6, he has knight d8. But bishop e8 maybe. Anyways, if he takes, it's like definitely in my favor. Got this pass pawn now. I have a weird zugzwang here that I would like to try. Bishop a8. The knight can't move, none of the pawns can move, and if the king or bishop move, I take the pawn. I think his best is to move the king, not the bishop. Yeah. Takes, knight e6. Don't think we want to take on f7, but we'll probably play king back to e4. Now he has to go back. Is this winning? I wouldn't say so. We need to be a little careful here. I want to go here so that his king can't go take my pawn. Unless he goes back there. Don't I have knight e5? He has to go back. Now knight e5 though. Should be winning. Could have also played king in, but this will win. All right, that was one more good game. That was one more good game. Very nice. Bishop a8, yes. Complete coffin. That was an executioner type of move. Okay, white's always better in these endgames, no question. All the pawns are on dark squares, but how much better? a5, I thought this was good for me. Now, bishop a8 is that's a TKO. That's a top rope kind of move. People's elbow. Yeah, this all looked good. Should have been king e4 there, not king back, but oh well. We lost the tempo, but this should still be the fastest way to win. Oh, it was a nice game. It was a nice game. Hello, Eddie. There's the Fisher endgame, the Anderson endgame. Eddie, does this endgame have a name? Any words to describe the masterclass you just witnessed? DP Leo, thanks for the year as well. A new sub badge. So I'm going to switch and play some slow chess games now. I can say I'm officially warmed up after that great game. Oof. Took some L's to the 3K Chads out there in the world. Didn't play poorly, honestly, but I just can't score a win. Just so good, so fast. Recovered a little bit of rating. I'm going to play some slow chess. It's time. All right, give me like 2 minutes. Refill the drinks and switch accounts. I'll be back in a sec. Some rapid chess next. Okie dokie. I'm back. I'm back. Jason Pierre Sweeney. Man, you're getting real close to that special number. 65-month resub from JPS. Here for some slow chess, Jason? You're feeling slow, steak? Anyone else feeling slow this morning? That's what mornings are for. I'm always sluggish in the morning. That's why I thought it's the perfect time to play some slow games. These are 15-minute games, 10-second increment. So some of them end pretty quickly if there's some bad blunders or disconnects, but for the most part, they take a while, and we always analyze after the game, so I think you get the idea of it being slow chess. The reading rate now, well, have a look for yourself. Have a look for yourself. We're in the 800s here. Hey, the anonymous gifted sub. We don't know who that could possibly be. In unrelated news, hello to Mount Prime and always great to see you. 21 gifted subs from anonymous. Whoever you are. Hello to Mount Prime. Zombie bro, what are you talking about? When I watched the first video on the channel, or what do you mean? We released a video like kind of recently, which was like that. Thought that was a cool vid. The first vid. I thought that was a cool one. Just interesting to take a step back. Get a 3,000 foot view of everything. All right, I'm gonna get started here. If you haven't seen this series before, I'm 800 rated, playing some rapid games, explaining my thoughts, not always playing the same openings, so mixing it up, trying to go in depth on different openings so that you get to see a little bit of everything. And after playing so many games in this, as we move up the rating ladder, I'm hoping that you'll get a lot of explanations and insights out of it. So, as always, let me know what you'd like to see me play. Don't know if I'm going to get the white or black pieces, so we'll see in a sec. But let me know what you'd like to see. Good luck, us. I'm going to start our first game here. All right. We got the white pieces. We got the white pieces. Well, let's see here. Start with an e4, see what we get. Because it always depends how our opponent responds. d5, for example. d5 already dictates exactly how the game's going to go. Scandinavian, there is no acceptable response here other than this. You gotta take. You just must. Queen takes d5. There's lots of different ways to play, but I'll choose, quite honestly, the most normal move possible. Knight c3. I mean, hitting the queen, why the heck not? Queen a5. There's so many Scandinavians, by the way, like queen d6, queen d8, even queen e5, queen a5. So many ways to play. b4 is a move that I like to play, but kind of gets out of the normal Scandinavian stuff. So I'll keep it really simple here. Just play some of the absolute main ideas. Just d4. I do like b4. It's a fun way to play, but okay, it's a little dubious, and the main stuff you just can't go wrong with. Like, how am I going to be upset about having the center, getting a free tempo on the queen, etc., etc.? So, not upset here. Not upset. Knight f6. I'll just, again, keep it very basic. Knight f3. Bishop f5. So my opponent's next moves are most likely these two moves. c6 is kind of necessary. At some point you need c6 because you need an avenue for your queen to escape back in case I go here or something. So bishop f5. Moves I'm thinking about are like bishop c4, bishop e2. Bishop d3 is absolutely a move, but I would say it's pretty weak. Just trading the bishop. Not really very interesting. Bishop e2, the only reason that this move is somewhat desirable in these lines instead of bishop c4 is it has the added benefit of covering g4, which seems like it doesn't matter, but in some cases like e6, then white plays knight h4 to just win the bishop pair and basically play the game off of that imbalance. Whereas if I go bishop c4, knight h4 gets met pretty well by bishop g4 a lot of the time, so I'm not sure we want to. But bishop c4, usually you're not trying to play that. You're trying to play like maybe knight e5 or castle, play in the center a little more. So that's why we need to sort of decide how we want to play this. Okay, I'll play bishop c4. It's a little more aggressive. But those were the two moves I was thinking about. The goal is to get castled, which I like to do quickly. I don't really want a queenside castle in this line, so definitely gonna be doing this. And now that e6 has been played, I'm not gonna waste any time. I'm just gonna keep it simple and castle. Bishop e7, so he's kind of doing much of the same, keeping it really simple, blah, blah, blah. The one thing that's kind of throwing me off here is normally c6 gets played. And I said c6 because if I play bishop d2, then you want to be able to like retreat to c7 or d8. But now if I play bishop d2, then of course I'm thinking, wait a minute, where's this queen actually going? Queen b6 can be played. But I think that queen is kind of getting pushed around here to squares it doesn't want to go to. Bishop d2 comes with a threat of knight d5, hitting the queen and hitting some pieces. So bishop d2 looks really basic. And for those that have played the Scandinavian with black, you'll actually be familiar with a concept, which is that after bishop d2, you don't really need to move your queen all the time. Because let's say the knight's on d7, pawn's on c6, and there's bishop's back there. What am I actually threatening? Knight d5, you just move your queen. And this trade of knights is okay. The only reason it's not okay here is because knight d5, I win the bishop. That's a bigger situation to deal with. This is actually a problem for black. So bishop e7 before the move c6 is played is giving me weird vibes, which is why I'm probably going to play bishop d2 here and just take advantage of that. Because now after bishop d2, because that's a threat, I think you do need to move your queen. And you need to move your queen before you've played c6, which is not good. You want to play c6 and retreat your queen to one of those two squares. So I think black playing c6 would have been a little bit better than bishop e7. That's what I'm getting at. So I'm going to play this, and we'll just see what he does. It's scary to have a bishop lined up against your queen anyway, so I can understand if you wanted to move the queen just because of that. Right, so this is kind of what I mean. I think that my opponent is familiar with some of the Scandinavian principles because you can see no fear when the bishop went there. But because he was so familiar with those principles, he forgot something important, which is that the whole reason knight d5 is not scary, you move your queen, is because there shouldn't be a bishop there. There should be like a knight there instead. If the bishop is back here, then the knight trade is whatever. But losing your dark square bishop in this opening with all these light square pawns is not really acceptable. So we are going to hit the queen and hit the bishop. And I'm going to take the bishop here. I think white's position will already just be slightly better. Nothing crazy. Like he's still not even close to significantly worse. But he's definitely a little bit worse out of the opening. The dark square bishop, you know, if you compare a position like where, I don't know, if you think of the King's Indian structure, black has pawn c7, pawn d6, pawn e5. The dark square bishop doesn't feel that strong in that line. But this position with pawns on light squares and no dark square bishop for him, my dark square bishop should be one of the strongest pieces on the board. And if he wants to sack his queen here, he has to do it like that. I guess you could take here and here, but queen takes d2 would be a little mistake because even take on f6 before I take it back. So I can tell he's familiar with some principles here because he played c6 like no fear, but now it's probably slowly setting in that although he can play queen d8, and he should, he's going to lose the bishop on e7, which is kind of a mistake. Yeah, and as you can see, the game is basically over now, and it's over based on some very, very nuanced things. Like, it doesn't seem like it was that big of a deal. In fact, I can tell that my opponent is quite familiar with the Scandinavian because he saw bishop d2 and said, nope, c6. And it's actually a well-known concept in the Scandinavian that you don't need to be scared of this because all of white's knight moves are met super well by queen d8, but not when the bishop's there. I mean, he still should have played queen d8, but now he got confused, he got thrown off because he realized some stuff's messed up here, and he comes up with queen a4, which is definitely a big mistake. So now he's going to lose his queen on top of, you know, the original threat, which was this. So queen a4, he's hitting my bishop. I don't want to just go win a rook because my bishop would be hanging, and then maybe I don't even get my knight out. But if you look at bishop b3, which is above and beyond the best move, logically speaking, brings my bishop back to a safe square, covers c2, hits the queen, and is on a defended square. Where does that queen have to move, right? This square is covered. c4 and a4 are covered. a3 is obviously covered. b4 is covered. a5 is covered. Well, there's only two. And those two remaining moves both get forked by this knight. So now, unfortunately, the game just ends. But it went from a guy that might have been pretty familiar with how to handle the Scandinavian, but just didn't pay attention to this very, very small nuanced thing. And maybe it threw him off completely. Because your reaction to knight d5 should always be queen d8 in the Scandinavian. But maybe because he realized he was losing the bishop, he got thrown off. I don't know. He still should have played queen d8, but it's easy to kind of mess up an opening line, and suddenly you don't think rationally. You start to second guess yourself completely, and you're like, oh my god, I totally messed this up, and play an even worse move. But it's also quite relevant here. I mean, this is a really basic concept, but I guess I'm not really saying it out loud. But there's always a hierarchy of threats. What I see a lot of low-rated players do is like a position like this will happen, and they'll do their original intention. They might get sidetracked with something like this, but for the most part, if their plan after this move, if their plan after knight d5 was to play knight e7, after queen a4, they'll play knight e7. And then black might take your bishop, and then your knight's stuck in there. You might take that bishop, pawn takes back, and all of a sudden you're better in that position, but you're not really winning the way that you are, the way I played it. Hierarchy of threats is like any threat against the queen has to be dealt with first. So I can leave my knight on this ludicrous square because obviously he has to deal with the threat to the queen before anything else. And yeah, there's only two safe squares available, but it's not really a safe square. It's losing the queen to a fork. And the Scandinavian has become an opening disaster. And this is why I do not recommend, I mean, one of the first editions of this series, the SlowBrah series, we uploaded on our YouTube. It's already there for you guys to watch. But it's literally called, like, don't bring your goddamn queen out early. And what opening did my opponent just play? Played the Scandinavian, an opening known for bringing the queen out quite literally as fast as possible. Now, I know this is a book move, but it's not good. Do not play the Scandinavian as like an 800. It's not the opening for you, trust me. Just learn some normal chess, get to be a stronger player, then go for the Scandinavian. Not saying it's a bad opening, but it's a bad opening for a beginner. Very bad opening. There's not many low-rated players that can understand how to properly bring a queen out and put it on safe square so it doesn't get harassed. Like, I don't think I did anything very special this game. Literally, like, took the center, brought my knights out, brought my bishop out to some of the most obvious looking squares in the position. The castle. Bishop there, and we just played bishop d2, right? And I'm already looking at this position and thinking, oh, this is a little bit pleasant for me, right? You check the, the engine briefly, and it'll be like c6, knight bd7, right? And the reason that it's much different is if you had played this move and I played bishop to d2, now all of a sudden you can play knight d7. And yes, just like the game, I can play knight d5. Ooh. But so what, right? Just move your queen. And this is exactly what Scandinavian players have to be familiar with, and they usually are. But this is actually not a threat. You move your queen back, and so what? White takes, that almost helps black. Super easy game. But you cannot play bishop e7, because now it's a little trickier. Not only does white have d5, which is another reason you play c6, but I think the threat against the queen and having to move the queen before playing c6 is a really big issue. So now he plays c6, but objectively it is a little bit too late. I'm not saying this move wins. I'm awarded a brilliancy, but it's really not that special. Queen d8. But guess what? I'm going to play knight e7, queen e7, and just exist in this position. Rook e1, h3, bishop out somewhere. My bishops will be very strong here. But it's not game over, not at all. It's just that my opponent overreacted to this move and played queen a4, which is serious blunder, because now after bishop e3, as I said, no matter where the queen goes, the only two safe squares get hit with knight c7, and that will be game over. So, do I recommend the Scandinavian? Absolutely not. I do not think it's a good opening for beginners. How do you handle the Scandinavian? I mean, there are many ways to do it, but this is just me pointing out one of the most obvious ways to do so. Like, pieces out, bishop out, castle, and we just made use of what I would consider a small inaccuracy to use one of the main ideas of the opening, bishop d2 and knight d5, against my opponent. So that's pretty much all that happened there. Descreeros, thanks for the 5-month resub. 40 months from Amused Bystander. Benetri, thanks for the brand new Prime. And hello, Redrum. 34 months, climbing to 3 years. Even Redrum's here with a notepad out, and he's a much stronger player than 800. Good to see Redrum. Thanks for the 34 months. That's right, Mount Prime. We love primes around here. No surprise. Eddie's got the medicated Saturday energy. Go, Eddie. This was a good game. This was a good game. We're going to keep going. I might get the black pieces now. Yeah, of course we get white again, but let me know what opening you'd like to see. I'm going to continue with another one. 15 minutes, 10-second increment. All right. We got the black pieces. E4. How to reply. Lots of options. I will choose the tried and trusted Karo Khan. This move d5 is pretty much a pre-move, so you can. It's one of the easiest openings to play the first two moves of, because you can pre-move them and they'll be the two best moves every time. So that's always nice. I mean, some of the wildest stuff against the Caro-Kann I've ever seen. I've been playing chess for a long time. Don't think I've ever seen that one, I'll tell you that. Well, even if he had defended the center pawn, I would have taken it. So I'm definitely going to take it now. No question about it. All right, knight g5. I do need to defend this pawn. You know, the move c4 is actually so bad as well, because usually in these lines, white has a few tricks, actually. Bishop f5, bishop c4, hitting the pawn, and, you know, knight comes out to hit this. It's like, great. But here, I don't even have to deal with bishop to c4 anymore. So this is one of the nicest positions I'll ever see. So now I think I'm going to start with the knight. The reason I would normally start with the bishop is so that after bishop there, I can play e6, guarding f7, and my bishop's on the outside of the pawn. But if I play knight f6, normally bishop there is actually a strong move, forcing me to go here, and then this guy never joins. So I think knight f6 is just a good starting move. Defend the pawn, develop a piece, why the heck not? Now my opponent needs to attack this pawn. No excuses. If you do not attack this pawn, I will play h6 and force your knight there, which is trash. So this move looks like it wins a piece, but bishop d2 or just knight c3. Like, the fact is it's defended, so not quite winning. Not quite. So we have some options here. Bishop f5 is playable. You know, because if pawn takes, we trade the queens, we'll be up such a clean pawn there. When people say the terminology clean pawn, it means like up a pawn with zero compensation. Like, the evaluation by the engine would be close to just -1. Just one extra pawn. Right now, I don't feel like I'm up a clean pawn yet because it's doubled. My opponent's still attacking it. It's not obvious that I have that extra pawn yet. So to me, bishop f5 is pretty much the best move. h6, my opponent can just take on e4. The only other move I'm considering, obviously, is pawn takes here. But pawn takes here, bishop takes. And if you just casually play h6, you'll walk into a really nasty trap. Knight takes f7, king takes f7, bishop g6 check. You got to take it and you lose your queen. So I absolutely do not want to activate his bishop for no reason at all. So I'm probably going to move my piece and let him play this move. If he doesn't play this, by the way, I'm planning to just take. I mean, that's a free pawn now. I got my queen and bishop on it as well. And now h6 is another idea. So I like this, developing a piece, keeping my extra pawn. Okay, knight c3. So again, knight c3, putting more pressure, but what did I just say? I'm threatening to take you. White made this ridiculous pawn to c4 move. Such a waste of time. The bishop should probably be on that square right now, potentially. But instead, the pawn's not even guarding this anymore. There's no bishop here threatening anything down there. Now white is threatening to take the pawn, so I need to do something. But as I said, like, we have this move ready to go. And this is another free pawn. So now I've got two pawns. My next idea is definitely an h6, unless he makes a threat, because I want to boot the knight out. And look, even if I lose this pawn, who cares? I can just develop, castle. You'll notice my position, my structure is actually very similar to that Scandinavian structure, except I'm up two pawns, and even if I lose one of them back, I'll still be fine here. Okay. Pretty good idea by my opponent, keeping pressure on the pawn and hitting my bishop. After seeing this, I am very attracted to the move e6 because it's the next move I would want to play to develop my pieces. Critical move in general, just in this opening overall. Yes, I could move the bishop, but I would much rather make a move that helps my other pieces rather than just deals with the threat. So it's looking like I'm definitely playing e6. My bishop also stays defending the pawn. And again, this piece is trapped. H6 is happening. The knight might want to go to e4. But our bishop's now getting out to that square. Our knight's coming to d7 and maybe e5. White's position down 2 pawns is still suffering. He also doesn't really have anything like g4 to threaten the bishop. I don't see any threats here. Okay, so knight e4. So he left on his own. Like he left the g5 post on his own accord, which is nice for me. We can develop here, which will always be a good move. So I'm talking about moves like knight d7, moves like bishop e7. And although knight d7 hangs the pawn, you have to remember an important thing. Positions like this, that pawn is so far on the other side of the board that in all likelihood, white can go out of their way and win it back. You're not going to be able to always defend it. Sometimes you can, but not all the time. So don't get caught up in this mentality like, oh, my pawn is hanging. How do I defend it? I can't defend. Like, don't worry about the pawn. It's so far up the board. You're up 2 pawns here. If you lose one of them back, who cares? You're still up a pawn. And you really can't always defend something on the 3rd rank. I mean, just look at white's pieces. They're all so much closer to that pawn than yours. It doesn't make any sense that you would be able to defend it as easily as they are going to be able to attack it. So it's probably going to be lost, but your opponent has to spend time taking it. So the time invested there is still going to be beneficial for you. Couple things here. Knight e4, knight e4, bishop b4 comes to mind. Both taking and bishop b4 and taking again, and then bishop b4 check. Because then guess what? The king has to move. So I think at this moment right here, unfortunately, white's made so many mistakes back to back to back to back that I think it's just a lost position. He's going to have to play bishop d2 there. It's the only thing I can see. So I think we're just going to go for that. It makes things nice and easy. So I'll take, and I'll play bishop check. King d1 loses, so bishop d2 has to be played. And if I take that and the king has to take, obviously I'm in a great spot. So I think that's really simple. Knight d7, bishop d3, knight e5 looks like a blunder waiting to happen, believe me. But I'm just going to choose this because it's really easy to understand. So I take, and I want to take again so that the knight isn't covering these squares. If I give check first, then knight c3, for example, and I'm not really, white plays this move next, and I'm not really getting all the trades, and I'm not getting the king to walk out the way I want it to. So that's why I'm taking the knight as well. Bishop b4 check. King d1 loses. Now the bishop's trapped, and if he takes it, that's actually mate on d2. But bishop d2, I want to take, and of course now the king is going to be taking a step out, which is nice for me. Always nice for me. But as I said, don't worry about this pawn. It's lost. Like, we're not keeping this pawn. But he's going to have to spend some time taking it. So, for example, here, what I like the most is queen a5 check. Because now if he wants to take the pawn, he's got to actually play king takes. And then the rest of my pieces will develop with tempo. Knight c5 will threaten to win the queen there. It's also knight b4 check. And I'm about to get castled and bring the rook in. So It's just all happening with tempo. And we're still up 1 pawn in these lines, so this is like the simplest way to play. Trading a bunch of pieces, and he actually leaves the pawn there, which could be quite clever. Like not taking the pawn on d3. So credit to him for being clever. Queen here, there is queen d4, surprisingly. So we're not just winning this pawn or anything like that. Queen c5, the same thing happens. Knight d7, then I guess bishop takes d3 would like to happen. As weird as it looks here, I'm definitely thinking about d2 because it feels like it throws him off the most. Like he has to spend time going to take it, and it's not like I expect to keep this pawn, but it does look like you may have to invest some time capturing it. So I'm at least considering d2, but obviously knight d7 is pretty much the guaranteed move. d2, the reason I'm actually not liking it is a3 and b4. That looks well, that looks wrong. So let's keep it nice and easy. Bring the knight. Queen check, I didn't like that. So yeah, we'll just bring the pieces out. Knight c5 or knight f6. Long castle to bring the rook immediately to the d file. Those are the moves I'm thinking about here. So knight f6, although tempting, is probably going to be calculated after I calculate knight to c5, because this is just more forcing. So knight c5. If queen d4, the game ends after rook d8. So knight here, where does the queen go? Maybe e5? Maybe e5. I can maybe play f6 there. I would probably long castle to hit the bishop. So the only question is, do I long castle or do I play knight c5 first? Because castling threatens knight c5. Just like game-winning threat. I'm not sure it actually makes a difference. Knight c5 looks pretty good on its own. Knight f6 has the advantage of not allowing queen e5, but it doesn't make as many threats as I would like. But I will say, the one thing that's really nice about knight f6 is that this queen has to move somewhere like this. And if I get queen b6 check and I take on b2, then I think the game really is over. So knight f6, the queen has to stay somewhere they can answer with queen to d4. Knight f6, queen f4, let's say. Then I castle, and now I'm really threatening queen b6. Well, I've decided. I'm not sure if I want to play this or this, but I know in both of those lines I want to play this. So this is definitely the best move first. No question about it. Because now I'm threatening both of these things. For example, this threatens the queen and then intends queen check, and there's no queen d4 anymore, so I'm going to win a pawn. Meanwhile, this threatens the two pieces, so it's actually now difficult for white to answer both of these threats at the same time. You save the bishop, suddenly I can go here and check and win the pawn. You save the pawn, suddenly knight c5 wins this. Whereas, if I started with one of those threats, knight c5, my opponent deals with it, and then suddenly I don't have queen b6 anymore. You know, I go with knight f6, and the queen moves, and suddenly after I castle, all white has to do is answer queen b6, because I'm no longer threatening knight c5. So castling is like the flexible move that still threatens both of them. And queen g4 walks right into knight e5 and a fork on those two. So making the more flexible move first, definitely beneficial. Queen g7, this is just hanging here. Probably just take with the rook. You want to give it double check a little bit to make sure after like king e4, you know, if your knight moves, for example, you just have like a bunch of loose stuff. So you want to just make sure, but yeah, rook takes d3 will always be the move here. King f4. Now it's just about hunting the king. Queen d2 brings the queen into the action. So the two moves I'd be looking at are knight g6 and queen d2. Queen d2, I mean, king takes e5. To me, that might be winning, but I don't see it right away. You know? I don't quite see it. So I think that knight g6 is just the best move bar none. It checks the king, defends the rook, and it also threatens to bring the queen in for mate in 1 if the king moves. So knight g6 actually forces the queen to capture, which is obviously a good thing. Yeah, queen d2, king e5, queen b2 wins the queen, but we shouldn't be trying to win the queen right now. We should be going for mate. So I'm trying to pick the moves that deliver checkmate the quickest, not that win material. I think knight g6, after you sack the queen, you're just getting mated there. And obviously after this, we can do it in one move. Queen f5 mate, but of course, why settle for queen f5 when there is h5? GG. And a bit of a king hunt there. That king ran from e1 all the way up to g4. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Caro-Kann, just an awful move, c4. There's not much I can say about it. There's a clear threat against this pawn, and it was not only not reacted to, but it also took away a square from the bishop and just made overall an uninspiring opening move for the rest of the pieces. Knight f6, bishop f5, and after knight c3, we just keep taking. e6. Now, after knight e4, there's lots of ways to do it, but I truly believe the absolute simplest here is to take and then take again. Yes, there's bishop b4 check, but I don't love the prospect of allowing knight c3. Not because white's like better there, but it's just much simpler to play a position where you trade all the pieces off. Right? And after this, bishop d2 is 100% forced. King there allows d2. So this is all forced. Now, I like queen a5 because king d3, just nice to get developed with tempo there. King e3 played, knight d7, bishop, and now we castle. And this was the position that was just, I mean, I don't know what to recommend for white. Probably need to bring a rook to d1. It's the only way to kind of keep options open for you. But already at this point, you're losing this b-pawn because it's impossible to stop knight f6 and queen b6 and knight c5 right now. So very, very difficult. Yeah, queen here was obviously a mistake. Knight e5, take the material, and here the rather sweaty queen b6 check was missed in favor of rook captures a whole entire piece. How did we miss that? Well, Queen b6 check and rook takes d3 are separated by a margin of 3 moves for checkmate. It's mate in 3 more moves. Oh, it's inaccurate. Oh, it's trash. It's like such a horrendous evaluation, calling it an inaccuracy. Just absolute disrespect to our move. King f4, and would you look at that? It probably checkmated faster. Knight to g6, and would you look at that? Queen d2. Why is queen d2 checkmate? Oh my god, look how sweaty this is. Queen back to a5. Oh my goodness. Check and back to a5. Oof. Some nasty stuff here. That would be a slick mate. You know, the mate I was actually expecting to have to give this game was king e4. And then I was going to play this. And although we lose our knight here, I thought this was a pretty slick checkmate. Rook d4, queen takes, and queen f5. So this was the checkmate I was prepared to give. I actually thought after rook takes d3 that king e4, attacking both pieces, was going to be my opponent's selection. But he ended up going king f4, and then, yeah, then knight g6 is too easy. Yeah, that inaccuracy cost us big time. We'll have to send this one to chess.com for an audit. I'm not buying it. My accuracy should have been higher. Oh, Tool Time. Thanks for the 13 months with Prime. Apocalyptic but caring-esque. Thanks for the brand new sub. Woolers, 27 months. Welcome back, Woolers. Miha613, 31 months with Prime and 23 months from Hella. Hella glad to have you back. Hella with 9 A's. Did you take Hella with 1 A on kick to make up the difference? What was it, 10 A's here, and I think you have like 3 A's on kick. I mean, geez, it's tough life trying to get the same username on both platforms. I know there were some people that didn't quite get their desired username. I have no accuracy. Eddie's just chirping from the top deck there. I thought I heard some birds this morning. Yeah, XQC brought an influx of viewers to kick the other day. Absolutely. We were trying to stream and it was packed. It was packed. So I'll try again soon. But we're not done slow chess. We're not done yet. I'm going to play another game. I'm going to take a super short bathroom break, though. I'll be right back. But I'll continue with a couple more rapid games. Let me know what you guys would like to see. Who knows what we'll get next, but I guess obviously it's likely we get the white pieces. I'll be back in just a sec. Hopefully, we're learning something. Okay, we back. I was actually just checking on some streams. I want to show you guys Blitz stream right now. If you haven't seen it, this is like for those that are coming on our EU tour. This is kind of what to expect. We're going to be doing something very similar to this, just so you know. I think this is really, really cool. But they're hosting an event in person at a really cool location that we're also going to visit when we go to Paris. So we're probably going to do something like a sub battle in a very similar format to this. But this is just really sick. They have like really insane production there. It's like a whole esport facility with like a commentary desk, caster booth, and then 2 people with webcams, and like it's just all integrated, so it's really, really sexy. And Blitzstream has hosted an event here before. This is why it says Blitzstream Cup 2, because he's done it before and he's hosting it again right now. I think it's very cool. He's currently streaming in French, but we're gonna meet up with Blitzstream in Paris for our EU tour. !Europe. We're visiting Paris, visiting London. We're also visiting Berlin and Barcelona. But we're gonna host an event very similar to this for our Paris leg of the trip. So something to look forward to. I think it'll be a lot of fun. But Blitzstream is hosting one right now, and I like the production. So we'll have like sub battles, kind of similar format. We'll have some other fun events, but we'll be visiting this exact same spot. It's called eSpot Paris. You can see the logo there. Anyway, I just saw him streaming it. Thought I'd give you a sneak peek of what it might look like in Paris. All right. Tiger, thanks for gifting a sub to GS Warrior. We like all warriors here. Music warriors, keyboard warriors, Golden State Warriors. You're all welcome. Thank you, Tiger. We're also exactly at our sub goal. Very sneaky. I see what you're doing there, Tiger. I see what you're doing there. Okay, I said we were going to play another rapid game. And we absolutely are. Let's change our sub goal. Of course. Have to keep up with guys like Tiger in the chat. Mount Prime as well with a ton of subs today. Thanks, Mount Prime. Exactly, Zooted. Those guys as well. Those guys as well. All right, let's continue. Elegant Elephant, thanks for the 30 months with Prime. ! Prime. I appreciate that initiative more than you think, Elegant Elephant. Thank you, buddy. Q79OS, thanks for the 22 months, also with Prime. Check your primes, everyone. Prime check, prime check. All right. Playing another game. 15 minutes, 10-second increment. Let me know what openings you'd like to see. I'll do my best. All right, we got the black pieces. E4. All right. What shall we do? Start with C5. There are a bunch of Sicilians that we haven't really got the chance to play because the way that our opponent plays doesn't exactly allow it. So what Sicilian should we go for? So many options. Dragon, Nidorf, Khan, Taimanov. there's a very popular move, g6. I'm also thinking about d6 and how simple it is to explain, but definitely I would say the move knight c6, g6 all allow for transpositions. I'm gonna start with knight c6. It's actually very flexible. After this move, and by the way, in this Sicilian you always take. After this, we can knight takes. We can play almost all the Sicilians from here. A good number of them, that's for sure. There's e5, there's e6, there's g6. Maybe not the best, but yeah, you can still play d6. a6, probably not the best move, but I imagine it's still playable somehow. And knight f6 as well. So there's really so many that can be played. I'm gonna choose g6. It's a popular one for sure. I think once the bishop reaches g7, there are a lot of opening traps that white can fall for if they're not too familiar with the position. And if they are familiar, then we'll get a normal game out of it. So yeah, bishop fianchettos, and of course, knight takes knight can always happen, and we'll be ready to take back, not with the d pawn, but with the b pawn. We don't really want to allow queen takes queen, you know? We don't need to allow that stuff. Okay, bishop e3. Opponent is playing well so far. So d6, knight f6, castle. This is like the, the dragon in all its glory. Knight f6 makes an attempt to accelerate the dragon, which is a terminology you may have heard of before. So knight f6 and like takes, e5, knight d5, I think is the stuff. But I do think that d6 and just playing the normal stuff is good enough for now. So I'm going to play d6. It makes more sense usually to look at the main line of an opening, just the most basic way to play, before you check out any of the kind of sidelines, let's call them. Knight f6. Again, we're always ready to take b takes c6 here. So, surprisingly, after castling, the first thing I'm at least going to consider in this position is going to be knight g4. Just as a rule, when you play knight f6, you're not always threatening it like directly, but it's very good to just double check whether knight g4 is good, because if you can ever win this dark squared bishop that white has, you absolutely want to. So no matter what, I'm going to calculate it. So if we go knight g4 and the bishop moves, the first thing to understand is we just win on the spot. We win a piece. So knight g4 actually forces knight takes knight. Our queen is being hit, so we don't have time to take the bishop. So pawn takes back. And then in that position, the bishop could move, let's say, to one of those squares. But specifically, I'd be looking at d4. Bishop d4. Offering to trade bishops here, which is not the best for us. And after bishop d4, if I play e5 to win the bishop, right? Then where's the bishop going to go from there? Bishop c5, looking to take advantage of this pin. I'm already looking at how strong bishop h6 would be, pinning the queen to the king. So knight g4, knight takes, bishop d4. I think e5 is already good for me, because if the bishop goes back, I'll just take on e3. And even though this e7 pawn is tough to defend, I gotta say I'm convinced by that. Just taking this taking this bishop should be enough. So I'm used to f3 being played. It was not played, so that's why I'm immediately going crazy calculating knight g4. Because if I can get my hands on this bishop, I know I'll be better. For sure. So I'm already a pretty big fan of this move. Knight takes, bishop g5 can be played, but in all these lines, I feel pretty comfortable. So I think I'm gonna go for it. Castling would be normal, but again, I'm used to f3. So I didn't see f3, and now I'm like, wait a minute. What's going on with knight g4? So I've got questions, they need answers. Let's find out. But in general, as I mentioned, if you play knight f6 in this opening and your opponent doesn't stop you from playing knight g4, there's a very good chance it'll be a good move. Okay, so we're continuing on the line we calculated. We'll take the knight back. And if white just makes a normal move, like, I don't know, f3 or bishop c4, basically by taking this bishop, I think I'm already much better. Like, it's that good to win that bishop for your knight. I'm saying win it. I mean, it's truly an exchange, but I value that bishop way higher than I value my knight, so I think it's absolutely worth it. So much so that it's not even like I'm exchanging pieces. Like, I'm winning the bishop. That's how it feels. And after bishop here, if I just traded, that wouldn't be as convincing. All of a sudden, I've lost my best piece. You know, I don't really want to trade bishops like that. My bishop on g7 is quite valuable. There might be situations where I need to trade it. We'll get to those, but for the most part, we should be okay. As long as we have that bishop on the board. So even though this is a move in the center, and I think you could make an argument that it makes the most sense, like it's a central bishop move, you also have to remember something, which is that these pieces are lined up and the main idea is to play bishop h6. So it's very normal and likely that my opponent is going to keep the bishop on that diagonal. So I was definitely expecting the bishop to stay on the diagonal. So we see bishop f4. The reason I don't really mind bishop f4 is because I see a few maybe nice things. First of all, there's no f4. Right? If f4 happens, then my knight gets kicked out of e5 and stuff. But now I can put a knight here and I'm pretty safe for at least a couple moves. So I like that there's no f4, e5 coming at me. Also, I would not ever really think about playing e5 here unless I was like, I mean, in the other case, the bishop goes here, I play e5, and I win the bishop, which I'm kind of happy about. Here, it's not fully a guarantee. Like, basically, it would be bishop g5, f6. Because if I don't play f6, what happens after bishop g5, right? It's like I move my queen? No, that's not right. So f6, and then the bishop goes back. And yes, I win it, but I've played like f6 and e5. Suddenly, my bishop I'm so proud of, it actually doesn't impress me that much anymore. So while this is okay, I don't think it's good enough. Focus on having this bishop. Look at all the good things we can do over here. Rook b8, queen b6, queen a5. I see some good potential. I see some very nice potential. Queen b6 also hits this pawn. There's something to consider though, which is queen b6 hits the pawn, But after f3, if I go in with knight f2 to fork, I have to put up with bishop to e3, which is a little annoying. So I need to calculate things out. For example, queen b6, f3, rook b8, making a more important threat. Knight a4 is nonsense. I mean, maybe not nonsense, but definitely not good. That looks pretty good. Big time threats there. I mean, at b3, I'm looking at this diagonal and thinking, there's got to be stuff wrong with this. There has to be. So I'm liking queen b6 a lot. And the other nice thing about queen b6 is, even in the absolute worst case, I can always bring my knight back to e5. Completely fine. So this makes a threat. And again, if I get attacked and for some reason I can't go there, I can always play knight e5. Rook b8's a great move next as well. And one thing that's kind of annoying is the bishop getting there, but I'm hoping that that can't happen. Bishop e6 is fantastic square to develop my bishop to next. Notice how the knight's not on d4 anymore. It's already captured. So bishop e6, knight e5, rook b8. And you just see like every single piece working against that white king. It starts to look very scary. Okay, knight a4, and the reason why we weren't concerned about this move is because queen takes f2 is possible, right? And queen takes f2, it won't be our fancy attack, but that's all we need to do. And of course, if the queens exchange here, then our knight comes in and forks the remaining rooks, so that would be even worse. Queen takes f2. Tough move to handle. You don't want to trade. I have another threat here, which I'll let you in on the secret. Queen takes f4 and bishop h6. I know it doesn't win material, but what it does do is simplify. It takes these two pieces for white and these two pieces for black off the board. Because I just won a pawn, that would be a very, very nice achievement for me. So after a move like bishop e2, let's say, of course I can play knight e5, great move, like very, very nice. But I can also play queen takes and bishop h6 if I want to simplify the position. When you have an extra pawn and your opponent still has the queen on the board, usually that will provide some form of compensation or counterplay. But if you trade the queens off, then your one pawn advantage will more often than not improve. So h3, I can definitely play this queen f4 thing, but it doesn't seem necessary because I have a queen exchange right in front of me. We can take this. The rook has to take back to stop knight f2, which it will. But then our knight goes to e5, and quite honestly, it's the best square on the board. Like, so strong. Knight e5, no pawns can kick me out, and my bishop's supporting it. So we trade the queens, we bring our knight to e5. This position is overwhelming. There's no bishop c4, so my bishop's also going to get to the great e6 square, and look at the trajectory of that knight. Back to c3, well, it's not going anywhere. a4, it's not going anywhere. So we're going to follow this up with moves like bishop e6, moves like rook b8, maybe castling. Nobody can bother this knight. It's really, really nice. And of course, bishop takes gives us the 2 bishops and so much control of the dark squares. That's what the Dragon Sicilian is all about. It's about this bishop. Even though our knight has been the one doing the heavy lifting and the queen, it's actually been the presence of this bishop that has enabled all these threats to work. The threat of bishop h6 a lot, the threat of taking on b2, right? Guarding the knight here. It's been all about this bishop the whole game. It's the best piece on the board, and we still have it. And even a move like bishop h2 would immediately drop the tactic bishop h6. Okay, bishop e2, a good move. Good move. Rook b8 looks like a great place to start. So it's going to be one of these 2 moves. Both look tremendously good. I'll start with bishop e6, gets a piece out. The other reason I like starting with this is, I don't know, in case this trades and the bishop wanted to come to c4, just covering that square an extra amount. If b3 and the knight wants to reroute this way, which wouldn't be a bad idea, then it's nice to have the a-pawn. So it's not clear to me yet if I want to play this or if I want to play castle, other rook to b8 and a5. So that's why I'm not going to rush this, and I'm going to make the move that I'm going to need no matter what, which is castling. Yes, knight c4 is available, and it probably will win the bishop pair, but I think castling is just an important move to get in, and rook b8, rook b4 is my next idea. The reason I'm keeping a rook on a8 is because I'm expecting that after something like this, b3 might happen, and if that knight moves ever, a5, a4 is going to be very, very strong. So once again, knight c4 is possible, but I believe that rook b8 is just much, much stronger. This attack is non-existent at best. Rook b4 with an immediate double attack, and when the knight goes back to c3, there are immediate threats, like knight c4, for example, that are probably winning. These bishops, I mean, just look at the position. Barreling down on b2, just slowly bringing every piece into the attack. I'm not trying to play knight c4 or like c5. I'm not trying to do anything until everybody's ready. But things are starting to add up here. a5, rook b4, rook b8, and then we're really ready for moves like knight c4. It's like all these moves look good, but they don't look completely winning, or they don't look like I should drop what I'm doing to play them. If my opponent blunders and plays like bishop d1, well, yeah, then I'm going to play knight c4. It's winning on the spot. But for the moment, I don't see that happening. I don't see any big, big blunders by white. Notice how at the start of the game we spent more time, and now we're playing very quickly because we know exactly where the pieces go. Of course, bishop e6, of course, castle, and then rook over to b8. I could have played this rook, but again, I like the idea of supporting this a-pawn. g5, Now, my opponent, I'm guessing, wanted to play h4, h5, but saw the pawn was hanging. So played g5 and now wants h4, h5. And why am I not scared of this at all? Well, because even if you take and I open up the h file, even if you somehow get your rook there, there's still no threat. You could bring your rook to h7, there's no threat. There's going to be no threats for the rest of the game. Which is why I'm, again, like I said, not in any rush. Okay, rook b4. This was the move we were preparing. Hitting a4 and hitting e4. Knight c3 is the only move that truly deals with both of those things. This move allows us to not only make these threats, but also double up next. If b3, believe me, I'm thinking about rook takes a4 and rook b8. King a1 would lose to threats along the long diagonal. But king c1, I'm still calculating. Because king c1, bishop takes a2, threatens rook b1. And it's like, it's close to decisive. Maybe not quite there. See what he does. Yeah, like I said, knight c3 is the move to defend both of these. But it's possible that b3 gets played. And then, am I taking this pawn, or am I, like, trying to play rook takes a4? So the one thing about b3 is that if I play rook b8, yes, I have a huge threat here, game-winning idea. But then the knight retreats to b2, and it's actually a very solid position. It'll be very good for me, but it's also very solid for him. I can take on e4. But truly, if I want to play this idea, it's probably got to happen now or immediately after this capture. So is there anything there for me? That's the only check we would do here, otherwise take the pawn. Rook takes a4, takes, rook b8, king c1 forced. Bishop takes a2, threatening mate. Now, we're also threatening to win the rook. So the only move that I can see there for white is rook d1. And then after check, the king would escape. And if knight f3 to cover the escape square, bishop takes f3, then I think in that position we win because of bishop c3, an unstoppable mate. Knight f3, I'm threatening mate in 1. You can move the pawn. It's not like a guarantee. You can kind of play like c3 in that position. And even though it looks very tempting, I don't know if I buy that it's winning. I think it's not good enough. Looks flashy, but ultimately not good enough. So definitely, you know, whether or not that works, this will be a great place to start. So let's take this no matter what. Because, yeah, I don't know, if the bishop goes back, then maybe we could still play this line. But the point is, we'll take here. I'm really interested in that move. Like, it's very tempting. But this is why we played rook b4, so obviously makes sense to continue. If the bishop moves somewhere, then again I'm looking at this, but I'm not sure what's changed from this position to the next, you know? Bishop takes a2, rook d1, and we kind of have the same problem. The nice thing in that position is that I think we could play knight f3, knight takes g5, and just continue the game from there. down the exchange, but completely crushing. The reason this move is very tempting and why I may play it if the bishop retreats is just that the dragon is a type of opening where you can often sack the exchange somewhere, and the resulting position, you don't need to win the exchange back. You just need to keep playing that position. Like, the resulting position, you'll be down material, but probably be better. So many active pieces, you don't need to worry about, oh, how am I going to win the exchange back? It's like, no, I'm not even sure you want to. Pieces are just so much better than the rooks. But no matter what, this is a great way to start by taking this center pawn. So we're happy with this move. If the bishop wants to give itself up on e5, this guy's going to become a monster. Already is, but even more. I guess this is the only other move to consider. Because, yeah, you're either going to take the knight, save your bishop, or defend it. There's only so many options. Now, even though I would say that this move is clearly bad, I actually think it might be one of the better moves there. My opponent's position looked like it was going to be really dire after moving the bishop back, so surprisingly, I almost agree with this decision. What to take with? Obviously, bishop makes more sense. Rook takes makes an immediate threat. Rook takes h4. And yeah, the reason I was calculating this rook takes a4 is because as soon as I go here to make this threat, white plays knight b2, and suddenly it takes me a really long time to break through. Like a5, a4 takes, like I still don't have a threat there. So I find that position annoying, that's all. So this looked like a direct breakthrough, but now he's taken. So now these threats don't really work as well. But still, do we take here or here? We would never take with the pawn here. That's for sure. Knight c5, and maybe I'm not even that much better anymore. Rook takes h4, I would say almost forced. That looks quite good. The only reason I'm hesitant about this is some bishop f3 stuff. Maybe not right away, but in general. Okay, guess I am going to make the decision to go here. Very tough choice for me, honestly. The reason I decided on this is because I think h4 to defend the pawn, I'm going to reply h6. And white needs to play rook g1. Because if takes, I actually win a piece here, which is a weird thing. And then if the rook's tied down to the defense of that pawn, I think I'm quite happy there, and I'll continue rook b8, rook b4. So knight c3 has been played. There's a discovered attack, but there's not really anything this rook can do. If I take here, the knight takes, so I am actually just going to go take this pawn. My opponent could miss that the knight's hanging, but I want to take this free pawn anyway. Knight e4 would not be a bad move at all. But again, after rook e5, I don't see where the knight's going next. There's just no No good squares for that piece. It's a sad, sad piece. King b2 is also the last move on earth you'd want to play. Never want to walk into those pins because you'll never get out of them. White will be in this pin until he loses that knight, basically. So next plans, I'm assuming this knight moves. We just save our rook with tempo. Knight moves again, and then probably a5, a4, because now we have some checkmate ideas in the corner there. Okay, so as expected, my opponent does miss that this knight is hanging, and of course it's relevant because we can take it and hit the rook. So if rook d3 to attack our bishop, then we have rook c5, which is the only reason, maybe not the only reason. I suppose we have rook e5 as well, but I'll definitely go rook c5. If we weren't able to make a threat with this rook, then this rook d3 could maybe work for white, but obviously when my opponent's position is getting worse and worse, tactics are less likely to work for them. Rook d3, we'll go rook c5, and now we've covered the bishop, and a5, a4 should be more or less a winning idea. I think my opponent will get interested in h5 takes, yeah, but I'm doing the same thing, and if you take, I'll take with the h-pawn. Rook h3, first of all, is impossible, but even after you play there, it's like, I don't even have to take your rook. This bishop also covers h8, so there's no danger to my king, whereas for white's king, I think there's real danger. Okay, we take back. And I prefer this way, because if I take this way, I don't like my bishop being undefended. Doesn't seem necessary. Here we go. H takes g6, and again, like I've been saying, a4 and takes is going to be a little bit more effective than his h5 and takes. We both have the exact same idea, but I'm up a piece and I've got the bishop to control it. Imagine that was a light squared bishop, right? Obviously the game would end immediately, but the point is the threats are created from who controls this diagonal. We have a very similar structure. Okay, a4, good move. Absolutely. Now our rook has no purpose on the a file, so we're definitely going to slot it over to the b file. My opponent's in a tough position because that move isn't possible, which I know they want to play. And this bishop's defended. There's just no threats to really keep white's position going here. Okay, obviously this needs some consideration, but I wouldn't spend too much time on it. Just the cursory check. Takes, takes, takes. King c2 seems like it's not enough to win because all these pieces are on light squares, so I might have a discover check with this bishop, but I can never attack it. They're all on light squares, and that's a dark square bishop, so... And this rook's defended, so I won't have any checks like that either. So I don't think I'm gonna spend too much time looking at that. So I think bishop f5, hitting the rook, threatens rook b3 if the rook moves. I think that's more aligned with how we want to play. Hitting the rook, and it needs to move, let's say e3 or d1, but then rook b3 will be possible due to the pin. Yeah, very, very tough position. He played a complete game, though. He lost a piece sort of near the end, but I would say he went down pretty slowly. Like, it was a good fight. The dragon is really tough to handle, though. I mean, I think it's the Sicilian that a lot of players start out with, because understandably, it's just really aggressive. Your bishop's so strong on g7. It's a very fun opening to play, in my opinion. So, I decided to go for g6, and if my opponent had played c4, it would have been sort of the Maroczy bind setup, which is actually really tough to handle, but usually it takes a stronger player to play that. Okay, so yeah, this was exactly the moment where I said, look, I'm familiar with the theory a little bit here. When knight f6 is played, knight g4 is a very strong move. So when my opponent played long castle, the bells and whistles were going off saying, wait a minute. f3 usually gets played to stop knight g4. So if knight g4 is the move that prevents, then by not playing it, I should probably play knight g4, right? Knight takes c6, of course we take back, and now I was mentioning bishop d4, but after bishop d4, there's a few reasons why things are no good. I was wondering whether to throw in e5 here, because then we get the bishop outright, but this would be the exact same idea, and it's been this bishop h6 move that's been so nasty to handle. Bishop here, f4, and then e5 would actually just be a knockout. So, of course, though, white's going to keep the bishop on the exact same diagonal. The queen and bishop always want to line up here as white in this line to play bishop h6. But queen b6, I mean, this is a little harsh, right? Queen b6 is the best move, and it's inaccurate. It's the best move, and it's inaccurate. I mean, it's tough. Chess.com, it's real tough, Even when you play the best move, it's not the best move. Anyways, queen b6. I recommend playing this inaccurate move, as it hits the pawn on f2 and prepares rook b8. Knight a4. Unfortunately, not the best move, missing this threat. But even if you had taken that threat into account, as I was mentioning, the move f3, this was the line we calculated. Rook b8, pretty strong move. Now the pawn kind of has to go to b3, and there's so many weaknesses here that black can play moves like queen a5, queen c5, and have some threats. Why is knight f2 not a move, and why I haven't been playing it? It's because of bishop e3. So it's actually a really big blunder, knight f2. White has a tricky move, which is why f3 was played, which is why we were calculating it. Our opponent played knight a4, and at this point, and by the way, this looks very suspect. Knight f6 being best, I disagree with, like, on a personal level. Once again, knight e5 is the best move, of course. Like, clearly the best move. But, of course, it's excellent, but knight f6 is best. There's no way in hell you don't put the knight on an unassailable square, an outpost. I mean, this is a ridiculously good square. So, anyway, our pieces, this is exactly where we need them. Rook on b8, a5, rook b4. Right, and at this point, rook takes e4. You'll notice not far behind is rook takes a4. Like, it is a very reasonable move here. It's just so strong. But a free center pawn, you can't say no. However, if the bishop had retreated to, like, g3, then what was I about to do? Rook takes a4. And let's see if the line that the engine has is the line that we calculated. Rook a4 takes, rook b8 check. King has to go to c1. Bishop b5 is silly, of course. Now bishop takes a2, threatens rook b1. And yeah, the best move here is rook d to d1. Because even if you guard mate and play c3, I'll check you and I'll win your rook. So you actually have to make a move that gives you an escape square and guards the rook. So rook d1, and then, yeah, this is what we were looking at. Knight f3. If the bishop takes, then we immediately have mate with bishop c3. So knight f3, covering the escape square. And now white would play something like c3. But the difference from this line and the last time we calculated it is the bishop was on f4. So g5 wasn't hanging. So now we would just drop back, take on g5, and black is all over the place here. There's knight e4 coming in. There's bishop c3. There's bishop b3. There's rook b1. Like, this is just a massacre. The pieces are so goddamn strong. So strong here. It's over. It's like -6. Like, this is a really, really nasty position. And you will often get these in the dragon. These positions where you sack the exchange and completely crushing. So it's actually a shame we didn't get that, because it would have been a really thematic idea. Rook takes a4. The other thematic dragon sacrifice, I'll just go back for a second. Not all the time do you see these knights exchange like that by b takes c6. So sometimes they'll trade like this. Rook takes c3 is the other really common exchange. So just good to know that sacking the exchange is a very common occurrence in the dragon overall. So that's why I would never hesitate to do it there. Okay, and here, yeah, we take, we win a piece. This was just cleanup. Rook e5, I'm actually not sure I agree with that. That seems a little bit harsh. Rook c5 looks like, I mean, holding on to the dark square bishop here looks much nastier for my opponent in the long run. Feels like they're going to get mated. So once again, what's the best move here? I would say rook c5. It's a very close debate, but look at the disrespect to my move. Rook e5, rook c5. Pretty much the exact same moves, and I would even wager the longer you let the engine sit, the more it likes rook c5. Rook c5, good. Just good. How is playing the second best move good? Like, sure, I could maybe say that rook e5 should be the best move. Maybe. I don't even agree with that, but let's say this is best. Isn't rook c5 then excellent at the very minimum? Like, isn't it excellent then? What the hell is good? It's just a blatant disrespect to rook c5. Actually crazy. Okay, a5, a4, rook b8. And now bishop f5 is, I think, the simplest. And the position becomes tough to play. Just, I'm getting absolutely brutalized by the engine in this game. I would also like a recount on this game. Complete disrespect to my moves here. This should be a 99 accuracy game. Like, this is actually egregious. Calling queen b6 inaccurate here is a joke upon jokes. That is unbelievable. It's just incredible. Minus 0.86. Queen b6. Huh? Guys, you gotta trust me. Can't trust this engine. You gotta trust your boy, all right? Class is in session. You gotta put some trust in your teacher. These awful evaluations will lead you astray. I hope you enjoyed the dragon. It was a lot of fun for me to play this game. There are so many tactics in this opening. Hanging on to this bishop is the most important thing. You'll notice I had that bishop all the way until the final position. Winning your opponent's dark squared bishop for your knight, like exchanging, is so strong if you can do it. So if you play knight f6 and there's no f3, hit it with knight g4. It'll almost always be a very, very strong move. f3 would be the main theory. And then you get positions that are very standard for the dragon, where you castle, they castle, and you know, there might be things like rook b8, bishop d7, knight takes d4. And, you know, the idea is to sort of get the pawns going, rook c8, and there are some sacrifices down the line. So it's a fun game. White's going to attack you, but you're going to attack the white king as well. It's very double-edged, so it's kind of a fun line to play. I would say at the higher levels, it's probably not the best, but there's a long way to go till then. A lot of players started out learning the dragon as their first Sicilian because it's very aggressive, very rewarding, attacking chess, and it's fun. Like, it is a fun position to play. Thanks, TS Now, or T Snow, 91. Thanks for the 10 months with Prime. Shirts are rare. Hey, thanks for 3 years. On the dot, new sub badge, indeed. I don't know if you're still here, Shirts, but thank you. FB3, 42-month resub. Enigma Punch, 5 months with Prime. Backtracker, 3 months with Prime. And Gromov Live, thanks for the 19-month resub. What's the best line as white against the dragon? The main line is fine. If you can ever play the move c4 though, I think it's above and beyond the best line. Like, yeah, I think c4 is, for the most part, at the higher level, players don't like playing the dragon because they have to deal with this. This is the unfortunate part of the dragon. Is a strong player will play this Meroxy Bind and just like, you'll feel like you have no play. A very good player will make the dragon feel like unplayable, I feel like. But it takes a lot of practice to get good at playing these with white. Like, it's tough to do, truly. You make everything feel unplayable? SlowBrah feels. CD Hill 3239, thanks for the 4 months. Appreciate it, CD. Thanks for the resub, bud. Cooking. This slow chess while you're cooking. That's a good mix. That's a good mix. CW55 CW. Thank you very much for the 10 subs. The double quick cinco. Thanks for the 10 gifted. No problem, chess dude guy. Hope it helped. CW. Thank you so much, buddy. 10 subs. Also, Keylocks with 5 gifted. The quick cinco as well. Thank you, Keylocks. Hey, chilled, living. Marbles, Lucheco. We actually did a bunch of marbles races yesterday. We did. The fans, the real ones, will remember. But yesterday we ended off, we tried to switch to Kick, if you guys remember. And XQC was streaming his first stream with like 70,000 people. And we could barely start the stream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do that again. I'm going to try to do it again. I noticed and I planned for him not to be streaming right now. We got in touch, you know, said, hey, give us a moment. Let me start my stream. I don't see him live right now. So I'm going to take this opportunity to switch over to Kick. So we'll try our best to get live here. No, Sleazy, I'm not bribing you with marbles. No, no. We did marbles yesterday. We did marbles yesterday. AW, you definitely can, buddy. Yesterday was a very special circumstance with like probably 100 to 200k more people on the platform all at once. So give it a try. I'm going to give the stream a try on Kick. Will you get an evening stream too? That depends. I can tell you it would be a late one because we're going to check out a music festival. Give it a try, AW. Seriously, yesterday was a very unique circumstance if you haven't made one already. So try again. Exclamation mark Kick is the link. I'll be spamming it in our chat here, but I am going to switch over. And I'm actually going to continue a speed run that we started on Kick. We started it there. We're only doing it on Kick. It's a new one. We're still gonna do our slow chess a little bit, but yeah, don't tell him. That's right. I'm not telling you what it is. You gotta show up to find out. But it's a new opening speed run that we've been getting into. So hopefully you guys join us on Kick. If you don't know, !Kick. We did sign a deal with Kick. XQC just did as well, as you guys might know. But hopefully you guys will join us over there. Make an account. The stream is just going to go offline and go right back online over on Kick. So come join us. And I'm going to continue streaming this afternoon. I do have a new series, so you may not have seen it before. And I'm about to get into it. So thanks for watching, guys. God bless Chess TV as well, of course. Thank you for the subs at the end there. CW, Kelox. Appreciate you guys a lot. But again, we are going to be streaming on Twitch and Kick, but more so on Kick. So join us there. Make an account, follow the channel, and join us over on Kick. That's where I'm going to be. So bye for now, guys. I'll see you there in just a couple minutes.